Hey warriors, welcome back to the channel. People think value comes from being kind, being loyal, being the one who always shows up. But here's the truth, the world hides from you. Goodness is cheap. Hard work is everywhere. Loyalty is expected. And even when you do everything right, you still feel ignored, underestimated, noticed only when needed, and forgotten right after. So, let me wake you up. The world doesn't reward goodness, it rewards necessity. Machiavelli understood this better than anyone. To be valued, you must make others depend on you. You don't rise by being polite, you rise when your absence becomes a problem no one can solve. Look at the powerful throughout history. They weren't chosen because they were nice. They were chosen because without them, everything would fall apart. Here's the cold reality. If you can be replaced, you will be. If they can live without you, they will. If losing you doesn't hurt them, they will never respect you. So starting today, stop trying to be liked. Stop begging for validation. Stop giving everything for nothing. Become dangerously valuable. Become the one they can't ignore or replace. The one whose presence moves everything and whose absence makes everything collapse. Power isn't about being seen, it's about being needed. That is the Machiavellian way of value. Quiet, ruthless, unavoidable. And before we go on, drop this affirmation in the comments. I make others need me. Say it, own it, live it. Because once you become necessary, the world shifts. People treat you differently. They fear losing you. They protect the connection. You stop being a background character and become the source, the power, the reason they move. That's where real influence begins. If you're ready to learn the dark strategy that makes your presence a privilege and your absence a nightmare, stay right where you are. What comes next will change how the world treats you forever. Number 1. The false idea of value. Since childhood, society taught you that value comes from being good, polite, and doing what everyone expects. But that mindset makes people invisible, while those who understand power rise easily. There is a dangerous difference between being appreciated and being valued, yet most spend their whole life chasing appreciation, smiling when they don't want to, helping people who give nothing back, working hard only to watch others get rewarded, believing kindness earns respect when it only creates convenience. That is why the hard-working nice guy is always the easiest to replace. You must understand a real-world law. People do not value what is freely available. They admire what they must earn and fear what they cannot afford to lose. Machiavelli said, "It is better to be needed than to be loved. For love is held by a thread that can be broken, but necessity binds with chains no one dares remove." Trying to prove your worth with goodness alone drains your power. Goodness without leverage becomes weakness. Loyalty without boundaries becomes exploitation. Hard work without control becomes slavery. The powerful don't shout their value, they engineer situations where others depend on them, and once dependency forms, control follows. People always protect what they need, even if they don't like it. Think of the times you gave everything while they gave nothing back. You believed doing more made you matter more, but it only taught them they could take without consequence. You were trained to seek approval, fear rejection, and think usefulness is enough, but usefulness is temporary, replaceable, and easily copied. In a world driven by self-interest, the replaceable get ignored. True value begins when people feel the pain of imagining life without you. That happens only when you stop trying to be everything for everyone and become something specific they cannot function without. This is your shift. No more free kindness, no more endless sacrifice, no more silent suffering. Every action must raise your price and increase the cost of losing you. If you live for approval, you die feeling taken for granted. Live for power, and the world will be forced to acknowledge you. Before we continue, drop this affirmation in the comments: I refuse to be replaceable. Number 2, the dependency law. If you want real power, stop chasing approval and start building dependency. People only protect what they rely on, and the moment your existence ties into their progress, comfort, status, or survival, you shift from irrelevant to irreplaceable. That is where influence begins. Dependency isn't manipulation. It's positioning yourself so well that things collapse without you. Machiavelli said, "The wise ruler makes himself essential. When his presence supports stability, his absence becomes feared." Most people chase praise, but appreciation disappears the second someone more convenient shows up. Dependency, on the other hand, creates obligation, fear, and loyalty because the cost of replacing you becomes too high. Identify a skill, resource, or mindset others need but don't have. Sharpen it until it's rare, until it can't be replicated cheaply. Every powerful figure is respected not for being good, but because removing them creates chaos. That's the position you must secure. When dependency builds, people come to you even if they don't like you. They'll agree with you even when they disagree. They'll protect you even if they envy you, because their stability becomes tied to yours. Most people give help freely, with no structure, then wonder why no one values it. Be smarter. Connect your actions to return. Connect your support to gain. Connect your knowledge to relevance. Make people feel the weight of owing you. When people owe you, suddenly your voice matters, your presence matters, and losing you becomes a risk they won't take. Limit access to yourself. Make your time expensive. Build boundaries so your involvement becomes valuable and people chase what they once took for granted. Influence isn't taken. It's engineered by making others believe the future is uncertain without you. Stop giving everything for free. Stop offering loyalty to people who don't feel it. Stop making sacrifices nobody asked for. Become the core of progress in every circle you enter. Before we move forward, comment this with conviction: they depend on me. Number 3, invisible power. Power is most dangerous when no one sees it. Visible force creates resistance, but silent influence creates automatic obedience. This is the authority Machiavelli respected, the kind that guides decisions without raising a voice or showing strength. Invisible power is when people believe they act freely, while their choices align perfectly with your intentions. They think the idea was theirs, even though you planted the seed long before. Machiavelli said, "The greatest power is the one that moves others without being seen." The smartest leaders master this, shaping outcomes from the shadows. Loud domination, threats, and ego only expose insecurity. Real control moves like air, unseen but everywhere, letting others breathe while reminding them that without you, they suffocate. When you shape what someone fears, desires, and pursues, they follow you not because you command them, but because your direction feels like their own thought. Learn to read intentions before they're spoken, spot insecurity early, predict reactions, then position yourself as the quiet solution they depend on. Soon, their confidence requires your presence. You become the voice in their mind. What would he do? What would she think? At that point, you no longer push. They pull you into their decisions. In every environment, don't announce your value. Observe, calculate dynamics, spot weaknesses, then quietly attach yourself to key outcomes, so when things work, you're the unseen reason why that subtle gravity pulls people into your orbit. Don't argue, don't boast, Don't over-explain. Let your actions steer behavior until people move in sync with your vision naturally. Become the calm strategist in a world of noise, and chaos will part around you because they trust you without you demanding it. Influence is strongest when it feels natural. Invisible power means you're not the spotlight. You're the electricity keeping it alive. Before we continue, mark your domination in the comments. I control silently. Number 4, strategic absence. Being constantly available destroys your value. When you're always present, people take your time, effort, and influence for granted. Many ambitious people fall into this trap, thinking visibility equals respect, when it often does the opposite. Machiavelli said, "Too much presence destroys the perception of power. Absence reveals it." Strategic absence is one of the most underestimated forms of influence. This isn't avoidance. It's choosing when to appear and when to withdraw, so your presence becomes rare, respected, and even feared. When you respond instantly, attend everything, and offer yourself freely, your attention feels cheap. But when your availability becomes limited, your importance rises, because humans measure worth through scarcity. Step back at key moments. Don't overexpose your talent. Don't answer every call or explain every choice. Watch how perception shifts. People begin anticipating your input, wondering where you are, feeling the emptiness when you're gone. That tension alone elevates your authority. You're no longer a tool they can summon. You're a variable that changes outcomes simply by not being there. Absence becomes leverage. It forces people to notice, question, and eventually appreciate you more than they ever did when you were constantly available. Use this everywhere: relationships, work, projects. Your withdrawal creates desire, necessity, and recognition without a single word. Power is psychological before physical. The way people feel about you shapes how they treat you, and nothing changes feelings faster than the pressure created by absence. Let silence pull attention toward you and remind others what they stand to lose. When your presence becomes rare, your influence becomes undeniable. Don't confuse being liked with being indispensable. They rarely match. Controlled withdrawal turns visibility into authority and protects you from exploitation, because people can't manipulate what they can't reach. You start controlling the tempo of interaction. Every absence, missed call, delayed reply, selective appearance builds the narrative that your presence is a privilege, not a right. Number 5, systemic value. Real influence isn't about being the hero who jumps in at the last second. It's about building the system so that success literally cannot exist without you. When your role becomes structural instead of decorative, you stop being optional and become indispensable. Machiavelli said, "A wise man builds the machine so that he cannot be removed from its operation." That's the essence of systemic value, embedding yourself so deeply into processes, networks, and decisions that removing you collapses everything and exposes your true worth. Most people chase applause for short-term fixes, but those moments fade fast. Creating frameworks, protocols, and strategies makes your presence continuously required and your absence too costly. Start by identifying the core elements of any operation. What creates movement? What keeps stability? What connects resources to results? Then place yourself at the center. Become the linchpin everything flows through. When people rely on structures you created, they naturally respect your judgment and protect your role, because losing you means losing stability, efficiency, and progress. Systemic value also means foresight, spotting bottlenecks, weaknesses, and future issues before anyone notices, shaping solutions so quietly that your work becomes invisible infrastructure, essential yet subtle. Unlike being liked or admired, which is temporary and subjective, systemic influence is measured by outcomes and dependencies. It makes you untouchable, even if your personality is quiet. The powerful know this. They don't chase fame. They build environments where removal is impossible, where every process and team relies on their insight. This is silent domination. While others chase small wins, you build permanence, a network that cannot function without you. This is how empires survive and how a single person becomes an unmovable pillar. To cultivate systemic value, stop thinking in moments and start thinking structurally. Where can you build frameworks only you can run? Where can you embed knowledge no one else fully possesses? Where can you link your actions to outcomes so tightly that removing you triggers collapse? This is the Machiavellian path that surpasses charm, effort, or visibility. Before moving on, type this in the comments. I build the system. Because once your presence becomes the foundation of survival and progress, you stop being valuable and become absolutely necessary. Number 6, psychological integration. Becoming truly irreplaceable means going far beyond usefulness. You must embed yourself into the psychological fabric of others, so your presence becomes the center of their confidence, stability, and achievements. When people start linking their own success to you, you shift from being a valued asset to a necessary pillar. Machiavelli said, "It is not enough to be present. One must become entwined with the very identity of others." This is the level of influence most people never reach. Psychological integration is subtle, strategic, and invisible. It happens when your guidance becomes so internalized that they can't imagine making decisions without you. Your absence triggers hesitation, doubt, and discomfort because your priorities and judgment shape their mental landscape. Most people offer surface-level influence, help, advice, instructions. But when someone realizes they cannot maintain equilibrium without you, you enter a realm stronger than any title or reward. Start by understanding their fears, ambitions, and insecurities. Then position yourself as the stabilizing force that removes doubt, amplifies their strengths, and guides them toward outcomes they want but can't create alone. When your presence becomes tied to their emotional and practical security, dependency grows naturally and even comfortably. This is why some people command loyalty without threats and obedience without orders. They become woven into another person's identity. Your integration must be intentional. Be the judgment that shapes plans, the insight that guides reflection, the standard they measure progress against. This is control not by force, but by becoming their internal framework. People begin acting in alignment with your objectives even when you are silent. Influence is far more powerful when psychological and invisible than when loud or mechanical. Those who fail to integrate themselves remain replaceable, no matter how talented they are. When you become entwined with someone's self-image or ambition, removing you causes emotional instability, confusion, and regression, creating a level of indispensability few ever achieve. Observe, listen, and position yourself so people associate competence, clarity, and opportunity with your presence, while limiting access just enough for absence to create tension and appreciation. Before we continue, anchor this with the affirmation, I am their foundation. Once your identity blends with theirs, you stop being merely valued and become profoundly needed, and that is where untouchable influence begins. Number 7, control of hope. The most powerful people aren't the ones who rule through fear, but the ones who control the future. People dream about hope, drives behavior, shapes choices, and fuels effort. When you become the source of someone's belief in progress or success, you stop being a participant in their world and become the architect of it. Machiavelli said, "Whoever commands the expectations of others commands their actions." This is the supremacy of controlling hope, linking yourself to someone's perception of opportunity so their momentum depends on your guidance, insight, or approval. People move toward the visions they want, but they rarely notice who shapes those visions. If you position yourself as the gateway to their aspirations, they instinctively align with you, follow your advice, and guard the connection that keeps their hopes alive. Unlike coercion, which creates pushback, controlling hope creates willing alignment. They think it's their choice, while their path is actually shaped by your presence and strategy. Start by identifying what people truly aspire to: recognition, advancement, security, influence. Then position yourself as the essential facilitator of that progress, the one whose access or approval determines whether their goals are reachable. Over time, your involvement becomes inseparable from their vision of success. Balance is key. Too much control turns you into a tyrant. Too little makes you irrelevant. The right balance motivates people in ways that serve both their desires and your objectives. When you hold hope, you hold leverage. Disagreements lose intensity because no one wants to risk their chance at progress. Loyalty comes naturally because people fear losing opportunity, and your influence extends far beyond the moment itself because the promise of improvement binds them to you psychologically. Many capable people stay replaceable because they chase visible power or instant rewards. Meanwhile, unseen architects lead entire groups, movements, or organizations without forcing anything. They control hope. This strategy requires patience, foresight, and subtle alignment. You don't announce your role. You embed yourself so deeply into their dreams and plans that removing you threatens not just outcomes, but the belief in possibility itself. Number 8. Disappear at your peak. Real power isn't in constant presence or non-stop action. It's in knowing when to step away while your influence is at its peak. Disappearing at your strongest moment turns presence into legend, scarcity into demand, and respect into reverence. Machiavelli said, "He who vanishes at the moment of greatest strength makes his name immortal." This is the paradox of strategic absence. Leaving when others depend on you most ensures your influence lasts long after you're gone. Most people never understand this. They overexpose themselves, show every skill, and leave nothing for mystery. So when they fade, no one notices because they never created tension around their absence. Strategic disappearance is the opposite: deliberate, calculated, and timed to maximize psychological impact. It creates a vacuum everyone feels, but no one can fill. When done correctly, people mythologize your contributions, overestimate your presence, and fear losing what they cannot replace. That fear becomes silent control. They begin adjusting behavior and decisions around the memory of your involvement, even if you're not there. This works in relationships, workplaces, and social systems. When your power is unquestioned, withdrawal creates longing and elevates your influence beyond skill. It also protects your legacy because constant presence risks fatigue and diminishing impact. Leaving at your highest moment ensures your work is remembered as flawless and decisive. The key is psychological timing. Withdraw with purpose. Let absence create speculation and reflection. When people realize what they lost, admiration grows, and your reputation becomes detached from immediate action. You become an idea, something that guides silently from their memory. Humans naturally increase the value of what becomes scarce. Many fail because they confuse disappearance with avoidance. Strategic absence isn't hiding out of fear. It's influence through timing, perception, and anticipation. The most potent authority is the one that lingers in absence, not the one constantly demanded in presence. Master this, and you transform respect into awe, attention into longing, and usefulness into legend. Now that you understand the ruthless architecture of value, it is time to apply these principles everywhere. Knowledge without action is useless, and influence without strategy means nothing. The world does not reward kindness or effort. It rewards necessity. And those who understand this become untouchable, not by force, but by design. You've learned that being liked will never make you indispensable. Dependency, invisible influence, strategic absence, systemic integration, psychological embedding, control of hope, and disappearing at your peak are the real currencies of power. Use them deliberately. Make yourself essential. Embed yourself into systems and into the minds of people around you. Shape their aspirations. Withdraw when your presence is at its highest impact. Master perception, scarcity, and influence, and you turn ordinary existence into strategic authority. The people who dominate the world are not the loudest or the hardest working. They are the ones whose absence is feared, whose involvement changes outcomes, and whose vision directs others. From this moment, every action must raise your necessity, expand your leverage, and secure your irreplaceability. Stop chasing approval. Stop giving without calculation. Stop being replaceable. Build a presence so rare and so tied to results that losing you becomes unthinkable. And when you implement these principles, take one final step. Like this video, share it with those who need real influence, and subscribe for more ruthless, unshakable truths. Leave your affirmation in the comments. I am dangerously valuable. Say it, own it, live it. Once you embody it, the world sees you differently, respects you automatically, and fears losing what it cannot replace. You are no longer optional, you are essential, you are untouchable.